Welcome to the Marketing Stir podcast by Stirista, probably the most entertaining marketing podcast you're going to put in your ears. I'm Jared Walls, associate producer and Stirista's creative copy manager. The goal of this podcast is to chat with industry leaders to get their take on the current challenges of the market, but also have a little fun along the way. In this episode, Vincent and Ajay chat with Arnold Glick, integrated marketing manager at the Farmer's Dog. He discusses why it's important to be passionate about what you're marketing, as well as the benefits of working at a smaller agency or brand. He also offers up the backstory for the name The Farmer's Dog. Ajay finds a place to swim, and Vincent finds a fraternity brother. Give it a listen.
One.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's me, Vincent Petrofessa with Stirista. It must mean one thing, that it's the Marketing Stir. We're here, another episode. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for also watching now that we are putting our videos up on YouTube because you requested it. You wanted to see us smiling and us happy and our facial expressions. That's the feedback we got. Some of it was weird, but it's okay. We're here. All good. What also is good is my co-host. He's great. Let's face it. I love the guy. He is our CEO, my commander-in-chief of Stirista, Mr. Ajay Gupta. What's going on?
Hey, Vincent. You seem especially cheerful today, which is a lot to say about you.
I know. Normally I'm at an 8. I'm at a 10 because I found out even more information on why I like this next, our next guest.
Yeah, I believe it's going to be another first for the podcast here.
I think so. It is another first, but what have you been up to? Before we get that, let's build the suspense, Ajay, for the people listening. What have you been up to? You're exceptionally happy today. This is a great day, apparently.
Yeah, we bought a new house last week, which comes with a swimming pool. So.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
Swapping houses since the swimming pool time period was really long. So we managed to get one with a pool near the school. So
that's pool. I already think the episode of this is going to be called pool near the school. I like that. I could hear our producers thinking about that. But you need a pool in San Antonio. It is ridiculously hot. You need something.
Yep, I agree.
Well, that's awesome. Well, good stuff. Also, let's talk about a new acquisition, a new company that's joining. I saw that released today on LinkedIn. Tell the people about that, Ajay.
Yeah, we just acquired Nicasa, which was a brainchild of Manu, who was head of products at Newstar before. And essentially, it's a tracking and attribution play where we're able to help traditional retailers or anybody with a store location really track who's coming to their site, which kind of adds to our VIG product, which was meant for websites. So now we're able to kind of complete the full loop, whether you're walking into a store or stumbling on a website, being able to help identify who that is and also provide full set of insights and execution against that. So pretty exciting. I think it adds a dimension to the company we didn't have before.
Yeah, I think so. And I think a lot of marketers out there, especially people in the e-commerce, they need a lot of help right now in a lot of ways. So we want to help fuel those, and we want all of our businesses to come back and to be stronger. And I think there's some tools out there that companies will now need, and I'm glad we're able to provide that. But enough about the happy day we're having. Let's continue with this happiness. Let me introduce this guest. There's a variety of reasons why I like him. Because he's a young man and he's doing great things in this marketing industry here. He also is at an awesome company right now, the Farmer's Dog. You might have heard about it. We're going to talk about it. But he's also been at Goldman Sachs. He's been at HBO. And I have discovered he lives in New York as well as I do. And I have discovered that he is a fraternity brother of mine at another school, but same fraternity, a large national fraternity called Sigma Phi Epsilon. I love it. Please welcome the integrated marketing manager from the Farmer's Dog, Arnold Glick. What's going on, Arnold?
Hello, not much. Thank you so much for having me and for the incredible introduction. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, it was easy. I try to make every introduction I give special, but this was extra special for me. Thank you for joining us. You are back home in Brooklyn. You were with the in-laws in
Georgia.
Atlanta, Georgia
Oh,
area.
yeah. Yep. Yeah, I was on the Georgia near the beach, which is very nice, but it's very, very good to be back home here in New York, in Brooklyn.
Yep, I felt the same way when I was in Pennsylvania. I had nature around me, but I also had my in-laws around me. So I couldn't wait to get back home. You know, they're okay. They don't listen to the podcast. But anyway, it's great to have you, Arnold. For those of you who don't, know about the Farmer's Dog, let's talk about that right away. I'd love to learn more about the company there.
Sure. Yeah. So Farmer's Dog is a direct-to-consumer, healthy, fresh pet food product. So we deliver fresh dog food to people's doors that's personalized to their dogs, personalized to their schedule as well. And based in Brooklyn, sorry, not in Brooklyn, right? Started in Brooklyn. Now we have offices when we were going to the office in New York, in the West Village area. And then we also have a team in Nashville as well.
That's awesome. And then we always love to talk about how you got into the marketing industry. You have a great story. You've accomplished so much in not so many years out of college and just at some cool companies. So talk to us about that.
Sure. Yeah. So I actually studied marketing in school at NYU. And I think that's a rarity, right? Someone who studied marketing can actually go into marketing. But I think I just got enamored in college with the storytelling aspect of marketing. Just how can you get a message, a story across in 15, 30 seconds and really convince someone or persuade someone of a new product or a new idea that you're selling. I studied marketing, and then my first job was in digital media buying at a company called Essence Digital, which is now part of Group M. And that was a very eye-opening experience from the digital media side. I think that's a lot of the backbone of what I do now, and it's really important to have that. I still lean on that today in terms of understanding placements, understanding how buys are structured, especially in the digital. From there, as you mentioned, to HBO, worked on the more creative side, working on HBO Now, on HBO Go, and then Goldman Sachs. After that, launching Marcus, their online lender, again, working more on the creative side with agencies, and now at the Farmer's Dog. So yeah, I mean, a lot of, I think I would have probably preferred to stay at a couple places longer and not jump around so much. But each time I learned so much, so I have no regrets, obviously, and very happy at the Farmer's Dog now and learned a lot at each step.
And Arnold, where does the cool name come from? Is there a backstory there?
The Farmer's Dog? So from what I've been talking with co-founders, how they explain it, it's kind of the perfect relationship between a human and a dog. It goes back to when they were the Farmer's Dog. It was a working dog that worked alongside humans. They're a key, not just a pet, but a real part of the family. And it also hints back to a time before kibble, right? Before like what is known as dog food now. They were fed the scraps from the table or from the field, and they ate fresh, healthy diets, and they were working, they were exercising, running outside, which is a far cry, I think, from a lot of our dogs now. But it's really kind of goes back to that beautiful relationship between human and dog, the Farmer's Dog.
Gotcha. And was there a special connection you had with animals that made you come to this job versus Goldman Sachs where you were before?
Yeah, I think it's really important to have a passion behind what you're marketing. I think some people can maybe just conjure up that passion or make it up, but I think it's really important to have a belief and real understanding of what you're selling. I've always had dogs in my life. I have 2 dogs now. And there's a nice connection there between dogs and my love for dogs and then my love for marketing. So I think that was really important.
And Arnold, what has been, you mentioned HBO that you worked at, that it pops in my head. I love HBO. I watched it all the time. What was that experience like there? What were you mentioned you were working on HBO Now and HBO Go?
Yeah. So when I switched over to HBO, they were just in the planning on launching HBO Now. By then, we didn't have a name for it. It was just going to be HBO, whatever it was going to be. And a lot of that was working with getting the name right, but also working on how we were going to market it and launch it to mass media, and how do we explain what this product is, and a lot of the different features of it. So we worked. I was on a small brand marketing team there, about 4 of us. We obviously worked with a lot of other teams within HBO, but we also worked with production companies to create TV commercials. We did some partnerships with other brands, and yeah, just explaining what this is, who we are, and what it's about.
That's cool. And what specifically are you working on at Farmer's Dog?
So I'm on the brand marketing team here as integrated marketing manager, you said, and that really is bridging the gap between the brand marketing team and the growth marketing team, and making sure there's a consistent message going out across all the different channels. So we utilize a lot of different marketing channels, all the way from very mass media, such as TV ads, national TV ads. Back when people were outside, we were doing billboards and subway ads,
Yep.
and stuff like that, and all the way down to direct mail and email marketing, and making sure that there is consistent messaging across the board. And we just launched a new TV ad last week. So very happy about that. And it's kind of an evolution of from our past TV ads, and making sure that, when we launch on TV, that there's also consistency, that new message you'll see it on our Facebook ads or Instagram ads, and so forth.
And Arnold, are there specific marketing tools that you currently use or that you have used that you love and couldn't live without?
Yeah, there's a couple I've been introduced to here at the Farmer's Dog that I love. One is called Binder. So it's a digital asset manager, which has been really helpful in terms of just, as something, as part of making sure there's consistent messaging, is making sure that all the assets are approved and that everyone has the same ones, access to the same ones. You're not using old versions. You're not using, we switched our logo in January. So we have a lot of old assets with old logos, and making sure that those are archived and people can't grab those. I would say another one that I've really enjoyed using is, there's obviously a bunch, Clubhouse, right? And I think a lot of people use that, but has been really helpful in terms of working with our in-house creative team and setting up tickets and making sure that all that information is held in one place, setting due dates, really helpful in project management, which is a lot of what I do as well.
Gotcha. And what does your typical client or audience looks like that you're going after?
Yeah, so it's great. So when I was at Marcus at Goldman Sachs, it was pretty specific. They have a certain credit score. There was a lot of that kind of layering that we used a lot in our targeting when it comes to media buying. The kind of fun thing at the Farmer's Dog is it's like dog owners, and that's half of America. And we don't have any targeting in terms of small dogs or big dogs. Not like you can even get that information, but we go pretty broad, which is exciting. And we can test a lot of different markets, and we can see, what kind of interests may be aligned with dog ownership. But we do tend to see like people that are healthy themselves care about their dogs having healthy food, and there's some kind of stuff like that. But generally, I think is why we've been going into more mass marketing, is that it's a lot of people have dogs, and especially during the pandemic, more and more people are getting dogs.
Yeah, that makes sense. A lot of people out there looking for, people are lonely, at home, you get a dog. It's, and I would imagine a lot of people, you're probably getting some free publicity, because a lot of people probably just love posting pictures of their dogs. I don't have a dog. I do love animals. I want to make it known out there before I start getting emails that I don't like dogs and I hate animals, but people are probably sending that, tagging the Farmer's Dog with posts on Instagram and Facebook. You noticing that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we get a lot of, like the unboxing experience. You get your box of food, and people are kind of showing, look what I just got for my dog, or opening it up. Our packs have the dog's name on them. So that's people love that personalized aspect. Right? This is, Fido's pack of food. They love sharing that. We also saw with our subway ads, when they're up, we have ads that were saying like long live dogs, and a great picture of a dog and our bowl of food, and people were just posting that So it's like, free press right there. And a lot of people love posting on it. That's a great thing. That was also a difference. We were having a lot of people posting about their personal loans at Goldman Sachs. So it's nice to have this more organic kind of social content, which really creates a movement. And I think word of mouth is so important here. Where do you get that information when it comes to your dog's health? You trust your friends and family. And if people are posting about it, we encourage that. We'll repost some of our favorite posts on Instagram. We are very involved, and we are watching and tracking a lot of what people are putting out there.
That's awesome. I do remember the subway ads here in New York. Those were cool, which kind of, I think was an initial reason. I was like, I see those all over. Let's reach out to the farmer's dog and Arnold there. So with that, talk to me about you were saying like the personalization of the dog, like where you could kind of understand their diet. Yeah, and you kind of customize the plan. I know we're getting a little nitty gritty into the product here, but talk to me about how you guys are able to customize that for.
So when you go to the site to sign up, you're taking through a questionnaire where you're putting in your dog's information, such as their age, their breed, their activity level, their weight, what their desired weight, if they're overweight, underweight, and we have an algorithm there to really calculate the calories, how many calories they should have, and you can also put in. If they have any allergies to certain foods, we'll obviously flag that certain recipes have those. You won't want to feed those. So then it's really helpful. We're seeing a lot of customers writing in and telling us that this has been really helpful for their dog that was overweight. So there is 56% of dogs are overweight in the U.S. It's
wow, I didn't know that.
The people here. But a lot of dogs are overweight, and the feeding guides on the kibbles are pretty wide. So they tell you, okay, your dog is between a 20-pound weight, and you should give it to a cup or a cup and a half of the food. That's actually a pretty big range. And a 20-pound difference in a dog is massive. And so we are helping people understand more of how much they really should be, and taking the guesswork out. The packs that you get sent, say half pack a day or a full pack a day, and it makes it really clear, and it keeps their calorie intake exactly what it should be. It factors in their activity level. So those on the back of the bags of kibble, they're not saying if it's a very active dog, it obviously needs more calories versus an older dog. So it's just a little more accurate there, and it goes a long way in keeping a dog healthy, make sure that the right weight. It prevents arthritis and a host of other issues. So it's more than just the fresh food. Obviously, it's a big part of it, but it's also a big thing is portion control.
And Arnold, I'm guessing almost all the business is direct to consumer?
Yes. We have no retail. It's all online.
Gotcha. And then how do you kind of see the retail space changing? Do you see a greater number of people going directly to brands, or do you see a place for the PetSmarts of the world?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, I think we've been fortunate. There's not a lot of good things happening this year, but with the pandemic, people are not having retail, not going to retail. So we've been fortunate to see people wanting this D2C product for their dog food. And we're hopeful that we'll see the convenience aspect of it. Lugging around a big bag of dog food is not fun. So we're hoping to see the convenience aspect of D2C work. I think retail will always be important. There's certain things that you'll want to touch and feel and see, and before you just get sent to you. There's also a big aspect of especially, before the pandemic. Last summer we did a booth at Smorgasburg here in Prospect Park in Brooklyn. And it's dog friendly, and we had thousands of people come, and we had a booth, and we had samples. We had a lot of people coming up to us. Oh, I've seen your ads. I've seen Subway. We always want to try it, but my dog is so picky. They don't eat anything. I don't want to order a box and then spend all this money on a box, and the dog doesn't like it. Twofold. Well, okay, that makes sense. And we were like, well, we have sample right here. Just try it, and you put it down and the dog devours it, and they immediately want to sign up on the spot, which is incredible. And that's an aspect of retail. We'll never be able to, replicate that through a D2C experience. So that's really important. But I think, that's something that I'm curious to see, once the pandemic is over, how retail kind of bounces back. We're hopeful that the people we have been able to sign up now will realize the convenience and stay on, but yeah, we'll be monitoring that for sure.
And are those some of the, you said smorgasbord, which I love, I miss that here in New York and Brooklyn, but are there other face-to-face events that you would go to as far as a company? I don't know if it's not necessarily to meet consumers, but on the business side, did you go to trade shows, Farmers
Yeah,
Dog?
so
Yeah.
so we've had booths at the Meet the Breeds event, which is big in at the Javits Center. We went. That was like right before that was like our last event.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny to think that. I was like, wow, that was it, and then we shut it down. We went to the Meet the Breeds in Javits Center. We were also the Javits Center for the New York Vets Association. So obviously, we are talking to vets as well and want to educate them on our product. So there's a lot of face-to-face there. And then, obviously before the pandemic, we were talking about, since we have people on the ground in Nashville, doing some events there, just really trying to get in with the community. Again, like I said, a lot of like word of mouth is so big for us, and we can talk to some people, they tell some friends, they swear by the food. That's always really beneficial for us. So it's a bit of old school marketing there, but you can't fully, not yet, fully replace kind of face-to-face interaction. We do find that's important.
Yeah, same here at Starista. We are, big on going to trade shows and just meeting our, prospects or customers in person. That's why I love being in New York City, where there's so many of my clients right around, literally like next door. And, we definitely miss that, but soon, hopefully soon. But
Hopefully.
so Arnold, I talked about it before, you're young, right out of, not right out of college, but you're not far removed from being out of college. Could you tell I'm jealous of how young you are? And, but it's, look at the companies that you've been at. Do you have advice for some college students? Because college students are, who are just finishing marketing or trying to get a job out there. They're trying to get any job, but, to land some of the brands that you've been at, just any advice based on that experience.
Yeah, I've said it before. I think I got really fortunate to go into the media buying side and agency. I've always found right out of school, working at an agency was incredibly helpful. Just getting this knowledge base, working on multiple products. At an agency, you probably work on multiple brands. I happen to just work on one, but it really kind of gets your footing. Even though I studied marketing in school, it's completely different when you're doing it in real life. So learning all about digital, I was like, wow, okay, I want to really stay involved in digital. This is obviously the future. And then from there, having a couple of years under my belt, really getting a lay of the land of what, client side, agency side, everything in between, sales, and understanding that. So I always say, you may want to, your dream may be to work at, a Facebook or Google right off the bat, but, you should absolutely strive for that. But if you fall back onto an agency job or a small place, honestly, at smaller places, you'll learn more. You'll be more hands-on with different products, different things. And that's my opinion. And I always say it's not a bad thing if you don't get your dream job right out of school, because I don't think you know what your dream job is quite yet until you're in the working world. So from there also, when I was HBO and Goldman and now Farmer's Dog, I think it's, like I said before, it's important to match like your passions with your career. I think you'll succeed quicker and you'll be better at your job if you have that kind of passion aligned. Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm very fortunate to be able to have that, and it's not everyone can get it the right way, but if you can, I always, that's my piece of advice.
Have you been like the rest of us and binged on some TV during the pandemic?
I have, yeah. I definitely have. I am very happy though sports is back, I will say. My wife is not so happy that sports are back. I am. And yeah, ran through a bunch of shows, but now I'm glad to have live TV, even if there aren't crowds, and that is always interesting to see an empty football stadium or whatnot. But yeah, definitely got my TV time in for sure. And I think we will get some more as we get into the colder weather.
Yeah, I too am excited that sports is back. Let's see if this is an additional thing that I'll like you for, Arnold. So what's the sport? You watching football?
Yep. So
what's your team?
I'm a big Jets fan.
We almost had it. We almost had it. I am a big Giants fan. As long as I lived in New York, which has been 42 years now, I have never heard anyone say I am a big Jets fan. Yeah. I heard people say like, I'm a Jets fan. but
Yeah.
never, I'm a big Jets fan.
Definitely had to ask me a direct question. I was like, I watch football. I'm a football fan.
We
I'm
almost
not-
had it, AJ.
I'm
We
not
almost had it.
readily giving that information away, but no, I am unfortunately a diehard Jets fan. I love the team. You can't
Wow.
change it, right?
Even the closest of Jet fans that I know have never said that. So good. You see, that positivity is there. I love it. All right. Well, let's switch gears to because I can talk about football all day.
Yeah.
But Arnold, what specifically do you think, as far as a marketing strategy has worked well for the Farmer's Dog? What is, if you had to put your finger on one thing? I'm sure it's not one, but what would you say has been the strongest for you?
I would say this is, it sounds easy, but I think it actually is a lot harder for teams to kind of grasp, is a willingness to test new channels. Like any startup, the company was founded, not long ago, 6 years ago now. And any startup like Facebook and Instagram, and that was working really well. But only recently we've gotten television, which is not a small commitment to make from a media side and, production side too. There's a good amount of creative production money that has gone into it. But we've always been a great dynamic between the growth and brand team of wanting to test new channels from both sides, and the willingness to do it and seeing what works. And fortunately, a lot of things have stuck and has become part of our core marketing media mix. And without that kind of leap of faith, we wouldn't have that. And yeah, some tests don't go well, and that's just kind of part of the learning process. But I find that's really important. And I've experienced that at Goldman, a lot of that kind of testing as well. I'm glad carried over. I think that's really important. It takes a little bit of leap, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
And creative testing too, right? Not just channels, but also creative testing.
Yeah. And really quick for the listeners out there, when you're talking about television, because there's a variety of different ways now you can advertise by using, TV. Is it, traditional commercials? Is it OTT? Is it CTV? Just talk to the audience about that.
Yeah, so we do a mix of the local channels, right? You can do local buys. So you just want to buy, say, in the Seattle or New York market, you can buy those kind of local news. We also do national. So that's, you're going to buy your Ellen DeGeneres, for instance, and you're going to run on that. But then, as you mentioned, there's OTT, over the top. So that is outside. So if you're streaming your TV on Hulu, I do that here. You're going to be able to buy that, where you can typically get a little more targeted ads. So we've been exploring that as well. So we've run the gamut on TV, trying all those and seeing what sticks, seeing what works. Day parting, right? So you also have your daytime shows, your talk shows, or you can have your late night shows as well, in terms the late night hosts and stuff like that. It's just seeing all those and having a good TV partner to track success and seeing what works, and then constantly testing too, not just sticking to your one sliver and beating the hell out of that. It's also kind of going and widening as you introduce new creative and new strategies.
But in terms of kind of the price points, how does it compare to other brands that are sold directly in stores?
Sure. Yeah. So if you do a comparison against, what we say here, versus the kibble you may get in the bodega corner store, we're going to be higher, right, than your maybe a Purina or IAMS. But honestly, as you get to the more specialized kibble food, dry food, so your Hill Science Diet or Purina Pro plans and those kind of more specialized, we're right up there around the same price point. It obviously varies on the size of your dog and all that stuff. But yeah, we do typically come in higher than kibble, but it depends on what kind of kibble. And that is just because, it's the quality of the ingredients going into the food. And I can go on about that, but yeah, you're getting a higher quality product. It's going to come with a higher price.
And Arnold, in the next 6 months, is there something that your customers have been asking for in addition to your core services? Is it something that the Farmer's Dog is rolling out in the next 6 months?
Yeah, customers are always asking for cat food. It's the number one comment we get. Do you guys have cat food? That is not coming in the next 6 months, but we are expanding our recipes. So we recently just launched a chicken recipe. So we've had pork, beef, and turkey. We have heard from people that they want a variety, whether it's because their dog is allergic to one of the proteins, or they just want chicken. It's a very popular protein in dog food. So we are listening, and we have just come out with a chicken recipe, and we're always expanding to include new proteins. Just takes time, and again, it's kind of like it needs to be specifically balanced. There's a lot of checks and balances we go through above and beyond the industry standard to make sure what we're sending out is healthy for all dogs. But yeah, so our main focus in the next 6 months is definitely going to be recipe expansion. People ask all the time, like I said, cat food, they want treats, they want lots of different, they want t-shirts. But we are sticking with the core right now and making sure that's the absolute best for everyone. That's like in the immediate roadmap.
Yeah. And now is there like is it all protein? Is it a vegetarian option? I feel like there would be dogs in New York City that are vegetarians.
We definitely got asked, like, what are your vegan options? It's protein and vegetable mix. So it's like the chicken recipe, for instance, has Brussels sprouts in it, bok choy, broccoli. We have lentils in some of our recipes. We have chickpeas and stuff like that. So it's a mix, but it is mostly protein, which is just the way it should be for dogs.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure that, and for me as well. So that's, there's no vegan options here, AJ, or vegetarian.
I was wondering if they had anything human grade for people without dogs to taste.
Yeah. Just to try it. But this is I'm sure it's delicious,
And Arnold, are you guys using an agency to make your videos? Are you doing it in-house?
Yeah, so we for our videos, we use a production agency. So not like a full-blown marketing agency. So we have a production agency that we work closely with. We have a couple freelancers that help us a lot with the video editing. And yeah, so and we have our in-house creative team. We have a couple of really talented designers, copywriter that we lean on heavily for a lot of our creative assets as well.
And so, sorry, go ahead, AJ.
So one of the questions we love to ask our guests is about their LinkedIn preferences. So if you've listened to the podcast, what we love to ask is, what kind of marketing messages are you getting that you like, that you actually respond to, and what are some of the ones that really stand out to you as bad examples of marketing?
Yeah, so LinkedIn messages and kind of like cold emails, get a lot of those, and it's hard to stand out. I do try to read them, but a lot come in. I would say the ones that stand out are people that have shown that they've done their research on the product. Simple again to say, but you get a lot of like, hey, we love your raw food. And you're like, well, it's not raw, and that's pretty easy to see if you just went to our site. Like, there's just stuff there that you're just part of an email list and it's going out. I think the more specific you can be to sing and specific to my role as well. I get a lot of stuff on like, hey, this really helps with the conversion aspect. I'm like, I'm not on the conversion team. I'm not on the growth team. I'm on the brand marketing team. And there's a difference there. There's things like what'll catch my eye, and a lot of it's probably luck, but if we're planning a big out-of-home, we get an email from our LinkedIn from, hey, we have this great out-of-home placement never before used, or this, and here's an example of what it could look like with another brand and some case studies and some figures of uplift, and that'll catch my eye. Obviously, if you have, and I don't want to say this is all I look at, but the case study thing is really important. Like, we ran this, it had X amount of uplift in site visits, or however they're tracking success with this brand, which is also a D2C brand, then it helps me kind of piece it together a little quicker, and it's relevant to what I'm working on right now. Some of the worst stuff I've seen is definitely, the wrong name, the brand wrong, the product is wrong. A lot of, it's like that, where you just like, okay, I appreciate you're sending a bunch of these out, but you got to do a little bit of legwork, and I expect like I'm reading these, and you should put a little more effort in. I don't know. It's hard. I feel for them. I do try to read them all, and I just get overwhelmed sometimes.
So Arnold, don't be surprised if you get a very custom message from a salesperson at Sturista about OTT. So
That's going to catch my eye though, you know?
Well, that means they did their research and
Yeah,
they
exactly.
listened to the podcast. You
They got
know,
my name right. They got the brand name right. You know,
Yep,
that's half the battle.
exactly. It's AJ. Did you see that message I sent you yesterday that someone reached out to me with? And this it was a salesperson reaching out, and they said like, "Go Gophers," and it's like, "Hey, it's so nice to meet a fellow Gopher." And I'm like, "What Gopher? That's not the mascot of the college I went to. I went to SUNY Oswego. I don't even think we had a mascot." And they were like, "Oh, in full disclosure, I'm not a gopher. I'm an alligator." And I was like, "What?
Yeah.
Get something right." I was like, "Where did you do your research?" Now, if they said like, "Hey, I saw you went to Oswego. You're a Laker." I think that's the name of our team, whatever.
Yeah.
And that would have been something. But yeah, do your research.
Do your research and don't be too forceful. Like you also get the ones where like, let's talk tomorrow, or like, let's talk this afternoon, 4 p.m. I'll send you an invite. And you're like, okay, hold on, right?
Yeah.
Like, I will reach out if I want to chat. Like, I don't need 8 time slots exactly when, and you're suggesting we need to talk immediately. It's a little
So recently I've gotten a couple of them similar to that, but they've actually been bold enough to just go ahead and send it as an invite.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Just the Google invite. I don't know, I feel, and one of my best friends is in sales and he's great at what he does. And I just am like, it's hard because there's genuinely, I think everyone has a product that could help. It's just, how do you stand out, right? Like you said, like it's so difficult.
Yeah, we noticed that too. And that's a question, like I said, we ask all of our guests, and we get some unique ones where people are kind of saying, again, do the research. People, well, some people say flattery helps. If you tell me something about, that would do it for me. That would get me, to respond to an email. But I don't have time to do it all the time, but I will go back to a person and say, hey, it's not a fit. And I know that you appreciate that and that sort of thing. And I'm never a fan of the 7 touches, 8 touches sort of thing where I think, if Arnold's interested, he'll let us know. And I think there's a few things. That's kind of my mentality there.
Yeah, like the 8th message, you're like, okay, I've pissed you off and you're not responding. I'm like, that. No, it's just,
I just don't like you.
Yeah, it's like that's exactly right, Bill. Like, we don't care. Yeah, I don't like you. I don't like anything about you. I don't like your family. Like, this is the way it is. AJ gets you get a lot because you're a CEO. AJ, people reach out to you. But you respond sometimes.
I do respond, but it's not often. And now I've got about 250 pending requests. Most of them are like no's, but I'm sure there's some good ones there, but I just don't have time to go through and say yes or no.
Yeah. See what happens when you become the host of the Marketing Stir. Look at the popularity now. This is great. So Arnold, are there areas of marketing that you feel in the future you would like to be part of? Is there, as far as a role, or, hey, I've always been fascinated with this aspect of marketing that, the future may hold for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's always evolving. It's always changing. That's why I love marketing itself, right? There's always a new channel now more than ever. Like, I'm trying to figure out TikTok right now, and that's wild. But an area of interest of mine that I'm getting really, I'm kind of working on now is getting a little smarter with marketing research and quant and qual, and just really how do we get insights, and how do we have a pulse on not only our brand but the industry, and understanding like what is going to get people to change their mind when it comes to kibble and dog food, and using quant research. So yeah, I think that'll always be incredibly useful and can be applied to all. Who knows what channel is going to be hot next, but I think it's really important to just have that pulse on the industry and on your brand health. What is the perception? I think you can get very easily caught up on the brand side, on the client side of, what you think the brand stands for, because you're putting out that messaging. But it's like, is that how it's actually being perceived in the market when you put a TV ad out there? And social listening is a big part of that. but you're kind of within your own walls. You're just constantly telling yourself you're doing a great job and this is the messaging and this is what everyone believes, but it's good to step outside and have some unbiased research and be like, oh, actually people are confused and delivery is not coming through as clear as we thought, but it's still what people want. So how do we play that up? And you won't know that unless you're doing research. So I just find that it's like really, really important, especially as we go towards these more mass media channels such as out of home and television.
And Arnold, what's the strategy for retention, and what does that look like for Farmer's Dog right now?
Yeah, I mean, obviously retention is huge. That's more on the growth marketing team. We obviously work with them. I think we're really looking into how can we improve our site experience. So like our customer dashboard, so to say, so you can log in and see shipments, you can delay shipments. We've had, obviously with the horrendous wildfires out on the West Coast, how can people log in and more easily pause a shipment or rush a shipment, update their address, and all that kind of stuff goes a long way in retention too. And with COVID as well, there's been a lot of delays with the shipping and shipping's been overwhelmed. There's more people. So how do we kind of stay on top of that and make it easier for people to adjust their subscription? And that goes a long way in retention and people feeling that they have access. And also, we kind of say it's the heartbeat of our company is our CX team, our customer experience team, and making sure if someone calls us, someone picks up, or if they email us or DM us, someone's getting back to them. It's as you said, it's their pet's food. It's so important, so personal, that we want to make sure that they feel like we're taking care of them, which, we care, we really do care. And I think that's also a big difference between us and some of the bigger brands, not as personable, not as contactable, and that makes us stand out, and that goes a long way in retention.
And you touched upon it a little bit before, Arnold, as far as saying, that people leaving college, students really, maybe the dream job that you don't know of yet isn't there, but get some experience. In your career thus far, if you can go back and give yourself one piece of advice, graduating from NYU, you're saying, what would that be?
One piece of advice for my younger self. I would say it would be to probably slow down a little. I was really pushing for what's next, and not realizing that what's next could be within that same company you're at, and that there's room to grow. And that is, like I said before, jumping around was not something that has helped me get to where I am, but it's not something I'm super proud of. I don't want to be known as the person that's not loyal and jumps from company to company just to get ahead. So I think there's a lot of especially at Essence, my first job, where I was doing the digital media buying, I think I should have stayed there longer, honestly. I think about that of touching a little more of the ad op side, touching more on account management and stuff. I would tell myself to soak it in, and until you stop learning at a role or at a company, I think you should kind of experience that. And then once you stop learning is maybe the time to switch it up a little bit. But I don't think I ever stopped learning at many of the jobs I was at. And I was kind of quick to pull the trigger and leave. So I don't think my younger self would have believed me or taken that advice, but that's what I would say.
Yeah, no, that's good advice. And I think I've always been someone I like to really build something at a company. I've never been a bounce around kind of guy. I mean, Ajay, you've been a CEO of this company for 10 years and, grown it to where it is now. So
Awesome.
Yeah, but I think so. But I do feel that you're right. I feel like a lot of people coming out of, college will kind of do that. And it's okay. You've gained experience from it, but you're right. I think a lot of times you may look at that and well, this isn't your case, but sometimes you see 6 months at a company, 7 months at a company.
Right.
Hey, what's going on there?
It does raise some eyebrows as we go through the hiring of someone who's, been a couple months here, a couple months there. And it's just you're trying to hire a position for someone who's going to stay and grow and help the company. You look at that track record, and it doesn't mean everything. You also have to ask a little more. Every situation is different, but if it's a trend, it can be concerning, and that's always kind of been my concern. And I've done 2 years actually, every company, almost 2 years.
Yeah.
But even then, I was I think I could have stayed and learned from a couple of those places longer. but teach their own too. That's just my advice I would give myself.
Yeah, no, it's good. And we have a few minutes left. What do you say, AJ? We get to the personal side here, learn a little bit more about Arnold besides him being a Jets fan. I don't know how that happened, but so tell us about, what do you like doing for fun, Arnold? What's a typical weekend for you? What do you like doing with the family there?
Yeah. Big into cooking. I think that's been really handy during the pandemic.
Yeah.
We have a little grill over here in Georgia, so I got into like smoking meat.
Nice.
On my birthday, I smoked pork butt for 14 hours, and my wife said I was crazy. And
Delicious.
What else I can do during the pandemic? But yeah, I think the food aspect. Is probably why I also love working at the Farmer's Dog. But like the food. And I just got my first set of golf clubs. I'm now realizing as I'm getting older, I can't play the same sports. I'm injuring myself, and golf seems like the right speed for me.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I'm really happy the dog park is back open, the dog runs. I love taking dogs there. And I guess that's a lot of what I do. I'm trying to think what I did before the pandemic, but
yeah, I know, right?
Was there time before the pandemic? What is time now anyway? So
but smoking meats, that's a good one. Hey, AJ, let me ask you, do you ever get into barbecuing? Do you cook? Are you, I known you for 10 years. I don't know if you cook.
I do cook. I do like cooking. It's somewhat limited what I can cook. I can barbecue. I can cook a good curry.
Yeah.
I can make rice, but that doesn't really require much. But rice, I actually
hard.
Yeah.
Rice, a lot of people mess up rice if you don't have a rice cooker. So
I do like cooking. My wife got me an Instapot for my birthday, and I've tried quite a few things in that. Easy to just put it on and it cooks while we're doing a podcast. So.
Nice. Yeah, I'm big into the crock pot. I love that. I fire that up.
It's too long, man.
No, come on. Slow and low. That's it. I don't have a smoker. I don't have a backyard like Arnold did in Atlanta and you have, AJ. But so I have to that's my version of like smoking meat. Put it in there. You could put a hand in there and it'll be delicious.
Yeah, I think my grill is bigger than New York kitchens. So.
No, exactly. Your grill is bigger than my apartment. That's where I sleep when I visit AJ in San Antonio in his grill. It's very small. But no, this was a fun one. This is great. I learned a lot about the Farmer's Dog and your background, Arnold. And like I said, I love 99% of it. Because of that, the Jets, it's the only thing there. But this has been awesome. We really appreciate you sharing your story with us. Keep up the awesome work. Look forward to seeing where your career keeps trending. And we appreciate having you on the Marketing Stir.
Thank you so much, Vince. Thank you, AJ. I appreciate that.
Thanks, Arnold.
This has been another episode of the Marketing Stir. That's Arnold Glick, Integrated Marketing Manager for the Farmer's Dog. That's Ajay Gupta, the CEO of Stirista. I'm Vincent Pietrafesa, the VP of B2B Products here. This has been another episode of the Marketing Stir. Thanks, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks for listening to the Marketing Stir podcast by Stirista. Please like, rate, and subscribe. If you're interested in being a guest on the podcast, email us at info@themarketingstir.com. Thanks for listening.